Thanks everybody for joining the VPM webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started. Be very mindful of everybody's time. We got a quorum, Johnny. So we got almost 50 people in the participants. So
Awesome.
pretty excited about that. Again, this is our monthly webinar. We do have PetScreening is one of our partners. For those of you who do not know, we actually have a VPM Academy. It's free on the VPM platform, so anybody can take any courses. And John and his team wrote courses for us that now have basically an exam at the end, and candidates or virtual team members can actually take those courses. Your regular team can take those courses, and when they pass the test, they get a certification in pet screening. So, John, one of the first people I ever heard speak at a NARPM event back years ago, man, and I was mesmerized and just think so highly of you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll let you get to it. So, everybody, John Bradford.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen, so hopefully, let me know once you see it up, Pete. Well, hello everybody, and Pete, I want to thank you and VPM for asking me to be today's guest. So, do you see the slide show there, Pete?
We're good.
Okay, very good. So, so I'm John Bradford. Today we're going to talk about how to spot ESA fraud and fetch more pet revenue. Pets are very, very popular. A lot of people have pets, including me. I've got 3 pets at my house. So just a couple things, and of course you can put Q&A, so I want to keep this very informal. But I'm a property manager, so I like to say I'm a property manager. I started PetScreening. It was by a property manager for property managers. And so I truly understand what it is that each and every one of you do, and what you do is hard work. PetScreening, we are a nationwide company, over 7 million units, and we're not just single family, which I know I would say a majority of you do single family residential, but we do multifamily, student. We're actually United States military bases are using PetScreening now, manufactured housing. So it's been a really a fun ride to be able to have this idea and let it grow. Just to jump right in, because time is of the essence, we have a short show here today. Just know that when you're dealing with assistance animals under the Fair Housing Act, there's 2 different paths. There's service animals, and then there's support animals. And there's differences between them. Service animals have to be because the individual needs them because they have a disability, but then the service animal must be trained to do a specific task. So they must be trained. That's a very key word when it comes to service animals. Unlike service animals, support animals are also for people with disabilities, and they must have a disability-related need, meaning there are people out there that have disabilities, but they might not have a disability-related need for an animal. So if you have a disability and it stops there, then you would not necessarily qualify for a support animal because you might not have the disability-related need component. So you have to actually meet both of those tests. Support animals, you need some sort of documentation to sort of stand up your request. So if you're seeking a reasonable accommodation, you do have to submit some form of documentation. These forms come in all kinds of things. Letters from healthcare professionals. They've come in prescriptions, prescription pads. I mean, there's no specific type of form, but there does need to be some piece of documentation to support that someone has a disability and a disability-related need for the animal. And it just has to be from a healthcare professional. That is not limited to just medical doctors. They can be nurses, therapists, counselors, nurse practitioners, etc. And it does need to be a domesticated animal because HUD has actually given some more guidelines as to what kind of animals are permissible out of the box. But the most important difference here between the two would be 2 things. One, support animals do not have to be trained. So there's no training involved for support animals. Service animals must be trained. And then service animals, no documentation is required or needed, versus support animals, you can ask for documentation. So if you're going to do this on your own, you need to know the difference, and you need to know the difference in how to review them. Again, here's just another kind of diving a little deeper into the 2 of them. And you can see again on the left, no proof is needed, must be for a disability, must be trained for a task. And on the right, support animals, proof is needed, must be for a disability and disability-related need, and no training is required. So again, just kind of touching on those things I just covered. So those are the 2 distinct differences. I will say that for unique animals, so under the latest guidance, which came out in January of 2020 under HUD, HUD did a great job, I think, of trying to be more specific about the types of assistance animals that could be allowed. And an example would be reptiles, right? There's no reptiles that out of the box are no longer permissible in the base case, except turtles. Turtles somehow made the cut on the reptiles, but all other reptiles are no longer allowed. However, just like in most things of our life, there's always exceptions to the rule. And so there is a unique animal request situation. Another thing is no barnyard animals. So in the past, we heard pigs, we heard, well, monkeys, I guess, is not really a barnyard animal, but monkeys would not be
There's
in
a
base
big
case.
one with like a,
Yeah.
what was it, like a chicken? Like, didn't somebody
A
bring a chicken
peacock.
on an
There's a
airplane once?
peacock, chickens, pigs. Just think of anything in the barn that would be on a farm. Those are no longer allowed again in the base case. Monkeys are not allowed in the base case. Reptiles are not allowed in the base case. However, there is this unique animal provision, and the guidance says that there must be the substantial burden of proof lies on the requester. So that means the person who's seeking the reasonable accommodation, it is up to them to be able to provide substantial evidence as to why they need this unique animal. An example I might give would be if someone's a paraplegic and they clearly have no use of their arms or their legs because they're paralyzed, then a monkey would be an example that has, of course, monkeys have fingers, unlike most animals have claws and paws. Monkeys actually have phalanges. They could actually be trained to open a refrigerator. They could be trained to retrieve medicine, open the bottle of medicine and administer it. That'd be a very uniquely, narrowly tailored example, but we would all agree that a dog would not be able to. They might be able to open a refrigerator using a towel, but a dog's not going to be able to get a bottle of medicine and open it, right? It's just not unless they're chewing it open, right? So that said, that's a very unique example. So if the person had all the right documentation from a medical provider or again, I don't want to limit to what kind of documentation would be, but the substantial burden of proof would be on them, and that would be a unique animal. Let's talk about multiple animals. Someone comes to you and says, I have 5 cats. This is an example of 4 pugs you see here, but I need 5 emotional support animals. Well, we take the position that there must be a specific nexus for every cat as it relates to a distinctly separate need for the disability. So in other words, if cat number 1 is needed for a disability related need, then cat number 2 would have to have a different disability related need that cat number 1 does not satisfy. Cat number 3 would have to have a distinct disability related need that it handles that's different than cat number 2, cat number 1. And so, that is just to make sure that someone may have, I'll just pick 3 because that's a much more reasonable number, but maybe it's two cats should be pets and only 1 should be an emotional support animal versus all 3 ESAs. The difference being that, as you know, pet policies such as any pet rent, pet deposits would apply to pets, but not to animals. So in that example, if someone really doesn't need 3 ESA cats, if they could not prove distinct disability related need differences between cat number 2 and 3, perhaps they just are pets. They still could be allowed. They just are pets and not animals. So those are just some 2 things that at Pet Screening we dive in deeper to both unique animal requests and multiple requests. Just some interesting stats. 60% of residents have pets and animals, and it's an average of 1.6 pets per household. So it's not even just 1 pet, it's an average of 1.6. I said a few minutes ago, I have 3 pets in my household, so I'm above average. During COVID, we submitted a survey to 35,000 anonymized residents, and 26% of the owners said that during COVID, they went and got a pet. Now, COVID is in our rearview mirror largely, but those pets that they went and adopted are still very much alive, which means they very well could be in your properties. Chances are the first call they did not make, or maybe even the second call they did not make, is to their property manager to say, hey, I went out and got a dog during COVID because I was home all the time. But that a lot of people went out and got pets, which is a good thing because that means they're not in shelters. And I would love to see all pets not be in shelters, but you may not know about it. And then in that same survey, 19% of residents who already had a pet said they were going to go out and buy another pet within the next year. Now that next year has now passed. The point is, pretty high percentages of people have pets, have multiple pets, and will continue to add pets into their houses. Just know that pet-friendly communities make more pet revenue. This has nothing to do with animals. This is all about pets. Just know that when people are happy in their property with their pets, they just tend to stay longer. And so if you have pet policies that are welcoming and friendly to pets, as long as, of course, those pets are not doing damage, then it does help. It helps everybody. Your landlord can make a little more money that you work for. You make a little more management fees. The pet owners are very happy because they're in a place that welcomes them. And so I never encourage anyone to take advantage of pet owners. I mean, charging pet fees are most certainly fair game. Some states do have statutory limits on what you may or may not be able to charge, but in large part, pets are fair game, and knowing the risk you're taking and then being able to charge revenue for it is absolutely something you should be doing. At pet screening, this is by no means a pet screening pitch. I think because we're a partner of VPM, I think it's important for you to know how we can help you. If you use our service, first of all, we are integrated with all the major software platforms that are out there. So chances are we integrate with the PMS system that you use. But when you use our product, we actually screen everyone, even people without pets. And you may say, well, why would someone without a pet or without an animal, go through your profile? Well, we are reinforcing your pet policies, which also should include people that don't have pets, meaning, I won't have any pet visitors. I won't let my girlfriend or boyfriend come over every weekend and bring their dog with them. I won't do any pet fostering. I won't do any pet sitting, because a lot of dog bites happen with visiting dogs. Dogs that the property manager didn't even know was there. Now, maybe that's a dog that's living there full time and they were sneaking it, but a lot of times it's actually a visiting dog. It's actually someone else's dog because it's over visiting. So when they go through our no pet profile, we get these individuals on the record acknowledging they know they cannot do any pet sitting, no pet visiting, no unauthorized pets without the written consent of the property manager. There's no cost for these individuals to complete this profile. So there's no money grab here. It's free for them to do it. But what it does is it helps protect you and then the owners that you work for. So that's called our no pet, no animal profile. Of course, people with traditional dogs and cats, we just, those are pets. That's what they are. This is how pet screening makes its revenue. It's the only way we make our revenue, because this product is free to property managers. It doesn't cost property managers anything to use our service, but we collect a lot of information on the pet itself. Set the breed, the weight, age, vaccination records, photos, and then we ask the pet owner a lot of behavioral questions, and then we collect all that data, and then we do charge the pet owner a $25 fee if they use ACH, if they're willing to use Plaid with their accounting number and their routing number, like on a check. And if they use a credit card, we charge $30. And then we take all the data they provide to us and we analyze it for housing related risk. Housing related risk is the risk that you're going to take. I can't predict if a dog's going to be good or bad. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I would, go win a Powerball. But what we can do is help you understand how much risk do we think that owner and that pet together are going to bring you in your asset. So, a great example would be if you have a puppy's going to bring a lot of risk. We're not saying puppies are bad. We're not saying you shouldn't rent to a puppy, but a puppy's going to pee on your floors. It's going to chew on your baseboard. It's going to chew on your doorstops. And so we created the FIDO score, and we trademarked that. But the FIDO score is a score for property managers only. We don't even show the FIDO score to the pet owner, because we're not trying to alarm them and make them think that their score is bad, because if you have a puppy, it's going to be a lower score, but the reality is there's more risk that you're taking. And so a lot of our clients will use the score to set a variable pet pricing schedule. So maybe the higher the score, the lower the pet fees, the lower the score, the higher the pet fees. The idea being, if you're taking more risk, then perhaps you should charge more, which is really the way the world works. That's what insurance companies do, right? The more risk they're taking with you, the higher your premiums. And while we're not an insurance product in any stretch of the imagination, what we are trying to do is help you understand, that there is some risk here and what it may be.
John, we got a couple
Again,
of questions real quick.
yeah, I'll stop.
I know
Sure.
you're on a roll here.
That's okay.
Real quick, by gathering all this information, does this hurt the application process? Have you seen people fall off, not getting that information? And
No, not there's no fall off attributed to us, because our score will score even if they don't submit everything in other words, we're always scoring whatever they give us. So if they don't have everything, or
they get a better score the more
yeah,
information.
it's dynamic. That's exactly right. So, like if someone says they won't agree to keep their dog on a leash at all times, unless it's in an enclosed fenced area, that's going to throw the score into it, because that's a risk, right? Dogs not on leashes cause problems in a lot of ways. It could be a Chihuahua not on a leash, but it running around not on a leash looks a lot like a squirrel to a bigger dog that is on a leash, and that bigger dog could be a neighbor across the street, could pull away from its owner because they weren't grabbing the leash strong, because they didn't think they had to. Next thing you know, you got a dead Chihuahua on your hand. Now lawsuits prevail. And so, but if someone doesn't agree to keep their dog on a leash and they answer it that way, the score is going to be low. But then if you have an educated discussion with your applicant, say, well, look, we have a requirement. You got to keep your dog on a leash at all times, even if it is a Chihuahua. And here's why. If they go back in and update their answer, the score improves. So, really there's no fall off, because we're always scoring, even if the information is incomplete.
Got it.
Yep.
How do you
Great question.
handle certain individuals that come back stating their pet is an ESA after they are told a property they applied for is not pet friendly, but they didn't provide any paperwork initially.
Yeah, so under the Fair Housing Act and HUD, their view of the world is anyone at any time can surface a reasonable accommodation request. So, while this is not music to your ears, the truth is they can move in on Monday and on Tuesday come back and say, "Oh, I have a request for an assistance animal." Now, they are supposed to be proactive about it and bringing it up front. We know that doesn't always happen. In theory, because they are asking you, the property manager, to set aside a would-be pet policy. In this example of the question, it's a no pet policy where you don't allow pets. So they'd be asking you to set that aside to allow their animal. They should really do that as soon as possible, which typically would be at the front of the lease. But that doesn't stop someone from living at a property 3, 4 months in, and then all of a sudden having some traumatic life event. Maybe they're in a really bad car accident and they're having trauma. Maybe they have a true physical disability and they need a dog to help them get around in a wheelchair, even though it might be short-lived, and perhaps a year later they no longer need the dog for that purpose because now they're better. There's all kinds of situations. So you can't.
This is where pet screening really shines
Yeah, we just
because
handle all
that
this for you.
person comes back and they have to provide the paperwork.
That's right.
You have them go through pet screening. Pet
Correct.
screening verifies if the paperwork is actually legit or not. Isn't that
That's right. That's right.
right?
We just make sure that the documentation meets the Fair Housing Act standard, and we even contact the healthcare professional to make sure the documentation is authentic. So we literally have a therapist who we know of a therapist from California who during COVID she passed away, and she sort of notorious for doing a lot of these reasonable accommodation letters, and so she had kind of built a reputation for herself. But it's very sad she passed away, and I'm not making light of that at all. But we still see letters from her. So that tells you people are out there still finding her letters online. They're altering them. So anytime we see a letter from her, we know that well, first of all, we still do what we do every day because you have to review everyone's accommodation uniquely. Even if we know this person's dead and there's no way that this came from her, we still go through the motion. So we attempt to make the contact and because we have to, right?
Do
That's
you
what
use like a
that's what
seance to do that?
yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
I
The
got another
point is,
question
we
from
very
Susan.
quickly can net out that her office is no
I
longer
got
there.
one more question from Susan. How are you
Yeah.
handling applicants with ESA who are concerned about HIPAA regarding their classification and requirement to provide letters of need?
Yeah, so HIPAA is a privacy act for healthcare providers. Property managers are not healthcare providers, and even PetScreening, we're not a healthcare provider. So we are never asking for documentation that discloses the specificity of someone's disability. Now, sometimes the documents go into great detail about what their disability may be. So it might say, Susie Jones has bipolar disorder, and it might actually go into great detail. This is actually one of the reasons I built PetScreening. Without PetScreening, chances are you're getting those documents and you're probably scanning them maybe you get it electronically, or if it's not, maybe you scan it into a PDF. And what we know is people upload this into their PMS systems because they want to hang on to those documents, which I understand. The problem is if you just go and load it in your PMS system, then anyone else on your staff could easily access it. At Pet Screening, that documentation is uploaded into our system, which are our servers that we use, and you can decide who on your staff could even have access to that document. So the beauty is you can decide, well, only I want access because I'm the owner of my company. Therefore, I'm the only one that wants to see it. I don't want my property managers to be able to even read the document. So there's no requirements for anyone in property management to be HIPAA. Anytime someone drops the HIPAA language, which we hear often, you just politely explain to them that there's no need or requirement for you to be HIPAA certified because you're not a healthcare organization, but that you take their documents with extreme confidentiality in mind, and that's very important to you. And again, at Pet Screening, we already do that for you. So that's another benefit to using the product.
And no cost for that, which
And
is
there's no
nice.
cost for that. Yeah, absolutely no cost. Right. So you get the FIDO score. We do have a pet fee calculator in our tool. So you can actually, the beauty is you can preset if you decide that you want to use the FIDO score for pricing. And again, this is your decision. Pet Screening makes zero profit from this. We don't encourage you to do this or not do this. We do have a lot of clients that come in and they preset what they want the PAW score to be for these different things, whether it be monthly pet rent, if you're doing pet rent, or if you're still doing a non-refundable pet fee. or pet deposits. We see more and more people getting away from pet deposits and going to non-refundable pet fee. But again, that's totally up to you. It's up to you and what your state may or may not allow. The point is, you can actually set all these fees in our tool, and then we actually will help deliver that news for you. So you can kind of set it and forget it. But anyway, it's a really neat way.
I was at Empire, we used to do pet deposit, and just going through a security deposit was tough enough. And then going through a pet deposit was just a drain on the team.
Well,
We
yeah.
went to pet fee, a one-time pet fee, and then we were moving towards a pet rent model.
Yes. Yeah.
We did the math, do the math, folks, on your own portfolio. We believe that the pet rent model was the most made the most sense and made the most money. And residents liked it better because it was less money up front. So they were able to just pay a small monthly fee.
And for whatever it's worth, most people, I'm just generalizing here, but a lot of people live in apartments before they kind of move to a single family house. They typically want a bigger yard. They want a fenced yard for their kids to play or maybe for their pet. So the genesis seems to be apartment and then eventually out of an apartment into single family house. It doesn't always work that way, but that typically is what we see. And what's interesting is the multifamily apartment world, they charge pet rent without question. And then they leave that and they come to a single family house. They're expecting to pay pet rent, but then they run into a lot of property managers that don't charge pet rent. So the reality is pet owners are willing to be reasonable. And again, I'm not suggesting you do or don't. It's up to you. It's your business to run. Just I think pet owners understand that they'll pay a fee for it. I think what you have to do is make sure you're market competitive and that you're, of course, administering those fees for pets and not animals, of course. And if you use pet screening, our FIDO score helps you do that for pets. Animals don't get a FIDO score at all. Only pets.
Right.
But in the spirit of time, just to push on, this is really neat too. Every profile we have, our no pet profile, our pet profile, and our assistance animal profile, they're digital, and you can actually share those digital links on your work orders. That way, before your maintenance person ever puts a key in a door, they can click on that profile, and we only share the pet-related information. We don't even share the resident's name on these links because that should come from the work order itself, because we don't want to be the ones giving away like where these people live. That's up to you through your work orders. But before they go in, they can see, well, first of all, is there even a pet here or not? Because if there's a no pet profile, no animal profile, then they should not see a cat box. They should not even run into a dog or cat of any kind. If they see a dog while they're there, then chances are, if there was a pet profile, they can click on that profile and we'll show you the name of the dog, the pictures of the dog, and at least they can see if the dog matches, right? And this is where your maintenance teams can help share information about what they're seeing and help you stop people from perhaps not sharing the whole truth with you, and just helps you drive better compliance. That's a really neat feature, and that's been offered since I started the product. Because again, I was a property manager, and this was a big problem. Just assistance animals, just no surprise here. The top 5 dog breeds for accommodation requests are pit bulls, mixed breeds, Labrador retrievers, German shepherds, and then Chihuahuas. But typically number 1, 2, and 3, pit bull, mixed breed, and German shepherds are some form of dogs that are often not allowed. And
Dangerous breeds.
yeah, restricted breeds. I challenge people to really think differently about your restricted breeds. Why even have restricted breeds? We have the FIDO score, so why does it really matter? I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, my insurance." Well, shop your insurance. A lot of insurance products nowadays don't even have breed restrictions. So if you think you have a breed restriction insurance problem, go find a new insurance company, because if you can find an insurance policy, a general liability policy that does not give you any pet restrictions, or breed restrictions, then you can really open up your pets to all kinds of pets, and you'll drive more revenue. Because the reason people have pit bulls, mixed breeds, and German shepherds and call them animals is because you've told them their dogs are not allowed, and frankly, they have no else. A lot of times they don't have anywhere else to go, and so they call it an assistance animal. I'm not saying that's right, but in reality, that's a lot of the behaviors that are driven
Exactly.
because of that. Just know that at pet screening, we review each animal request individually. We have an in-house team. It's all they do every day, all day, under 3 different lawyers within our organization that run this team. We've done over 1.3 million accommodation requests for companies all over the country, in every single state. There's no cost to you. There's no cost to the animal owner. We don't charge them a single penny. We only charge pet owners. So it's not like, we're, making any money off these folks. We're not punitive. We just want to say, here are the rules and you got to follow them. And what we have determined and have seen consistently, and it's been this way since I started, whether we did 10 of these or we've done over 1 million of these, is that 60% of the requests do not meet the guidelines. It doesn't mean they're trying to commit fraud. It just means they don't have what they need. And because they don't have what they need, it's not an assistance animal, which means by default it is a pet. So, we do this for you at Pet Screening. The benefits to all of you, our customers, our property managers, is we help you better assess your risk. We help you, of course, do the accommodation verification of assistance animal, your pet policies. You get acknowledgement on that. We can integrate with software. We remind your residents when their vaccinations are expiring. For you, it's just a way to just make sure you're really driving good pet policy management. For the residents, again, if they have an animal, there's no cost, but they get all the benefits as our pet owners. And even our pet owner that might pay $25, we give them access to the time they apply, it's $25. If they apply at 4 properties with 4 different property managers, and they only pay the pet screening fee once if it's just a household pet, and they can share it with those other 3 property managers. So it's not like they're paying $25 every time they go somewhere. It's shareable. They can share it with their doggy daycares, because doggy daycares want vaccination records. Dog groomers want it. So we have a lot of our customers using their profiles in other parts of their life other than just housing. They can put their microchip data storage in, et cetera. And then we have Fido and Tabular. This is amazing. If you guys as property managers have a dog or a cat, you can sign up for Fido Alert. Think Amber Alert for pets. This is something that I had the idea of this at the same time I had the idea of pet screening. This is completely free, and it's not free to pet screening. We use our profits for good. We have spent millions of dollars building this technology. And when you sign up, we will send you a free dog tag. It's a little dog bone for dogs. And if it's a cat, it's a mouse. We only give you 1 free tag per household. So if you have 3 dogs, we're only going to give you 1 free tag. But you can buy the other 2 tags. So I think they're like $4.86 each. Like, it's cheaper. They're $8 at Chewy. So we're not making money off the tags. I just can't give every pet owner or every pet in the world a free tag. Just know that when you sign up for Fido Alert or Tabby Alert, you can so Pete, if you have a dog, you could sign up, and when you sign up, you could put your wife on it, you could put your mom and dad, you can put up to 9 other people, and you put their names and their cell numbers, and you can go up to 10. And then we'll send you a tag with a QR code, your dog's name engraved on it, and a Fido number on that tag. And you put that on your dog. And if your dog gets out, and let's say it runs a mile down the road, if someone finds your dog, they pull their cell phone out, they scan the tag, they put in the Fido number, and you and your 9 contacts will instantly get a text message that this person found your dog. It's unbelievable. We've reunited almost 50,000 lost dogs and cats with Fido and Tabular. We have almost 2 million pets enrolled in Puerto Rico, all 50 states. And by the way, anyone that uses pet screening can enroll in this. So this is a free thing. So they might pay $25 to use our product. We're going to send them an $8 tag for free. And if you're an animal owner, you get an $8 tag for free. And all of you can sign up. This is not just for pet screening customers. This is part of our social mission to help every lost pet find its way home. This is where we do good as a company. And then lastly, and then I'll be done. We people with Down syndrome, I believe they're angels sent here to teach us how to be better human beings. We have a program called Down for Pets. Well, we provide up to 50 grants a year at $1,000 each to help someone with Down syndrome go to a rescue or shelter of their choice and adopt a dog or a cat, and we pay for it. We pay for the adoption, we pay for the medical costs, we pay for the food up for the first year, which works out to be somewhere between $800 to $1,000. And it's like a reimbursement program. And we have people with Down syndrome all over the country that have rent and saved a dog or cat out of a shelter. And those dogs and cats are providing incredible companionship to these individuals with Down syndrome. So just know Down for Pets is another way that pet screening we like to do good. So I'll stop there and answer any questions you have.
All right. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
If anybody has any questions, drop them in there.
I'll stop my share here.
Yep. I'll share my screen. I got a quick one, Johnny. So how do you handle if somebody has a animal and that animal goes into a house that the insurance, let's say it's a dangerous breed, and then the insurance company, then they try to deny that animal, or something happens and they try to get rid of the insurance. How do you guys handle, how do property managers supposed to handle that?
Well, so first of all, the insurance companies are not allowed to. In fact, right now I'm gonna drop this. Well, actually, hang on. Let me go back here. I'm gonna drop a link. I'll drop a link right into this chat here so everyone can see. So insurance companies are not allowed to discriminate against individuals that have assistance animals. So insurance policy breed restrictions are related to pets, not animals. And so I'm going to drop right here, Control V. This is if you go to this link, this goes to the pet screening website, and there's a bunch of documentation, and there is a document on there about insurance about the insurance companies. And that insurance company is a memo from HUD that basically says if an insurance company denies someone, it denies insurance on someone because they have an animal, then it's a violation of civil liberties and they reserve the right to turn it over to the Department of Justice. So
Send
do
that to
not,
HOAs too.
yeah, same
HOA
thing. Yeah, absolutely.
companies.
So do not fall for this, oh, my insurance, my property owner's insurance policy doesn't allow restricted breeds. Well, that's true when it comes to pets. But when it comes to an animal, it has nothing, restricted breeds does not have anything to do with anything. You need to move ahead because it is an assistance animal. And if your HOA fights you, or if your owner tries to fight you, you have a choice. You either say, I'm moving ahead without you because I don't want to break the law, or you could drop an owner because you don't want to deal with that and say, you're trying to get me to break the law and I'm not going to have it. And you need to document everything and why you're dropping them, or why you're moving ahead. And as far as an HOA goes, if they try to tell you how to run your business, you say, look, you're not going to get me in trouble. I'm following the law and we're moving ahead. And if you have a problem with it, then that's too bad, too sad. Get your attorneys involved and they can look at it. And if you have any questions and you're a PetScreen customer, you can reach out to us and we will help you.
John, thank you so much for your
You're
time.
very welcome.
If anybody has any questions, please drop it in the Q&A. Next month, we're going to be meeting a week earlier than normally. It's February 11th. We have Brian Hughes with BizDev Mastermind. We're going to talk about the pillars of organic lead generation. So if you're trying to grow your business, I highly recommend scanning the QR code on this one and joining up. And if you are interested in, or you're looking to hire somebody for you, a virtual team member, we now offer a Gold Glove service. It is a pay for, but we do all the work. We find a person for you. We kind of do we do all the interviews, all the messaging. And if you want to learn more about our 10-point scoring system and our hiring process and our lifetime, that's right, lifetime guarantee. Anybody we place for you, it's a lifetime guarantee. Scan the QR code here. And again, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it. Johnny, thank
Thanks
you
for
so much
having
for
me.
your time,
Good seeing
buddy.
you, my friend. Yeah, appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank
See you,
you.
everybody.
Okay, see you guys.